The showroom of Sterling Automotive is a cathedral of glass and steel, a silent monument to speed and wealth. Sunlight pours through the massive plate glass windows, catching on the polished chrome and lacquered paint of the machines arrayed within. They are not cars, they are beasts, sleeping predators waiting for a worthy master. The air smells of rich leather and a faint, clean chemical scent, the perfume of newness and exclusivity. This is a kingdom, and on the showroom floor, Chad Riley is king. Chad stands near the entrance, a sentry at the gates of paradise. His suit is Italian, a sharp charcoal gray that costs more than most people's first car. His hair is a helmet of blonde ambition, slicked back with a product that promises hold and confidence. His smile is a weapon, perfectly white and utterly without warmth. He is a man carved from sales quotas and condescension. He believes, with the certainty of a zealot, that he can divine a man's net worth in the first 3 seconds of seeing him. The brand of his shoes, the cut of his jacket, the weight of his watch, these are the tea leaves from which Chad reads the future. A future that, he ensures, always includes a hefty commission for himself. He scans the room, his gaze flicking over the clientele. An older couple, dripping with old money and quiet elegance, circling a stately sedan. A young tech bro in a designer hoodie and $1,000 sneakers, eyeing a garish supercar. Chad has already qualified them, categorized them, and assigned them a potential value. His world is a simple ledger of credit scores and closing probabilities. He is a predator, and the showroom is his hunting ground. Then the glass doors slide open with a soft, expensive hiss, and Marcus Thorne walks in. He does not belong. That is Chad's first, immediate, and final assessment. The man is a smudge on a pristine canvas. He wears a simple, dark gray hoodie, clean but softened with age. His jeans are just jeans, not a designer statement. His sneakers are for walking, not for showing off. He carries a plain black backpack slung over one shoulder. He is quiet, unassuming, his eyes taking in the space not with the avarice of a buyer, but with the quiet curiosity of a tourist who has wandered into the wrong museum. And he is black. In Chad's carefully curated, prejudiced worldview, this is the final, damning piece of evidence. The hoodie, the sneakers, the backpack, the skin color, it all adds up to a single, glaring sum, 0. A zero commission, zero potential, zero value individual. A window shopper. A time waster. Chad's smile tightens, losing even the pretense of welcome. He turns his body slightly, a subtle act of dismissal, angling himself toward a more promising target. He makes a show of adjusting his tie, a signal to the other salesmen, the younger, hungrier wolves who follow his lead, that this new arrival is not worth their time. They see the gesture. They understand. They, too, turn away, leaving Marcus Thorne to stand alone in the cavernous showroom, a ghost in the machine. Marcus feels the shift in the room's atmosphere. He is not a fool. He has felt this specific brand of cold his entire life. It is the chill of being prejudged, weighed, and found wanting without a single word being spoken. He sees the salesmen, their postures a study in deliberate indifference. He sees Chad, the alpha of the pack, now pretending to be engrossed in a conversation with a junior associate, their laughter sharp and pointed in his direction. He hears a fragment of their conversation, a sneering whisper from Chad, carried on the conditioned air. Probably took the wrong bus and ended up here. Don't worry, he'll realize there's no dollar menu and leave. The junior salesman, a kid named Kevin with acne and ambition, snickers nervously. He wants to be Chad. He wants the suit, the watch, the confidence. So he mimics the cruelty, hoping some of the power rubs off. Marcus lets the insult wash over him. He does not react. His face remains a calm, neutral mask. He came here for a reason. A little casual bigotry is not going to deter him. It is merely an obstacle, another piece of data to be filed away. He lets them have their moment. He lets them underestimate him. It is, after all, their greatest weakness. He begins to walk, his steps silent and measured on the polished Italian tile. He bypasses the sensible luxury sedans, the family-friendly high-performance SUVs. He walks past the flashy convertibles designed for sunny weekends and midlife crises. He moves with a quiet purpose, a man on a singular mission, heading directly for the crown jewel of the showroom. In the far corner, elevated on a circular platform like an offering to the gods of horsepower, sits the GT Apex. It is less a car and more a weapon of aerodynamic aggression. Its body is a symphony of carbon fiber and sharp angles, painted in a shade called obsidian black that seems to drink the light from the room. It is a limited edition masterpiece, one of only 50 in the world. Its price tag is not listed. It is one of those objects for which the price is a private conversation. If you have to ask, you cannot afford it. Marcus circles the platform slowly, his eyes tracing every line, every vent, every curve. He is the only person in the showroom paying it any attention. To the salesman, it is a museum piece, a marketing tool. No one actually buys the Apex. It is here to lend prestige to the lesser models, to draw people in. Chad watches him from across the room. The sight of this man, this nobody, daring to even breathe the same air as the Apex, ignites a fresh spark of irritation. It is a violation. It is like seeing a stray dog sniffing around the crown jewels. He feels a proprietary anger, as if Marcus is personally insulting him by his very presence. He decides to put an end to it. This is his floor. His kingdom. And he is the one who decides who is worthy. Marcus continues his slow appraisal of the car, his mind a whirl of numbers, specifications, and long-held dreams. He has read every review, watched every video, memorized every statistic. The 40-liter twin-turbo V8. The 812 horsepower. The 0 to 60 time of 28 seconds. It is not just a car to him. It is the culmination of years of relentless work, of sacrifices made in silence, of a promise he made to himself a long, long time ago. He wants to feel the leather of the driver's seat. He wants to grip the carbon fiber steering wheel. He wants to see if the reality lives up to the decade-long dream. He looks up, searching for a salesperson, for anyone to grant him access. His eyes meet Chad's across the expanse of polished tile. Chad holds his gaze for a moment, a flicker of contempt in his eyes, before deliberately turning his back. The message is clear. You are invisible. You are nothing. Marcus takes a slow, deep breath. Patience, he tells himself. Let the man dig his own grave. He waits for a few more minutes, a study in quiet fortitude. The other salesmen continue to give him a wide berth, treating him like a bad smell that has drifted in from the street. They laugh with other customers, they refill their coffee cups, they shuffle papers. They do anything and everything except acknowledge the man standing by their most valuable asset. Finally, Marcus decides he has been patient enough. The time for passive observation is over. He crosses the showroom floor, his soft-soled sneakers making no sound, and stops a respectful distance from where Chad is holding court with Kevin. "Excuse me," Marcus says, his voice calm and even. Chad finishes his sentence, letting Marcus wait for another few seconds before turning. He pivots slowly, a king granting an audience to a peasant. He rakes his eyes over Marcus, from the worn sneakers to the simple hoodie, his lip curling in a barely concealed sneer. "Can I help you?" Chad asks. The words are polite. The tone is anything but. It is the tone one uses for a child who has wandered into the adult section. "Yes," Marcus replies, unfazed. "I have a few questions about the GT Apex." Chad's professional smile is a thin, brittle veneer over a well of scorn. He exchanges a quick, amused glance with Kevin. The kid is trying to play with the big toys. "How cute." "Son," Chad says, his voice dripping with condescension. "This is the big leagues. That car is a very serious piece of machinery." He leans in, as if sharing a secret. "Tell you what. Why don't you head out back to our certified pre-owned lot? We've got some great options there. More in your price range." He gestures vaguely with his thumb toward a distant part of the dealership, a gesture of dismissal. He expects Marcus to be embarrassed, to shuffle away with his tail between his legs. He expects the shame and retreat he has seen 100 times before from people he has deemed unworthy. Marcus does not move. His expression remains placid, but his eyes have a new intensity, a focused hardness that wasn't there before. "I'm not interested in the pre-owned lot," Marcus says, his voice still quiet but now laced with steel. "I am interested in the GT Apex. The one right there." He points to the car on the platform. "I'd like to know about the available options and the final acquisition cost." The use of the term, acquisition cost, instead of price is a subtle tell, a sign of a sophisticated buyer, but Chad is too blinded by his own prejudice to notice. All he hears is the audacity. This person, this nobody, is wasting his valuable time, challenging his authority on his own showroom floor. Chad's manufactured smile vanishes completely. The performance is over. "Look, kid," he says, his voice dropping an octave, becoming colder, sharper. "I don't have time for games. Do you have any earthly idea what that car costs? We're talking more than most people's houses. The annual insurance premium alone would be more than your rent for a decade." He pauses, letting the insult hang in the air, enjoying the imagined impact. He winks at Kevin, the teacher showing the student how to handle a nuisance. "Go home. Play the lottery. Maybe come back in 20 years. Kevin smirks, a pale imitation of Chad's own arrogant grin. He feels a thrill, being included in the takedown. This is what it means to be a top salesman. Power. The power to build someone up or, more satisfyingly, to tear them down. Marcus absorbs the volley of insults without flinching. He is a rock in a storm of Chad's making. The condescension, the mockery, it is all just noise. He has a goal, and Chad is simply a loud, obnoxious obstacle in his path. "I understand the cost," Marcus says, his patience wearing dangerously thin. "I'd like to see the interior." This, for Chad, is the final straw. The sheer, unmitigated gall. The request is an affront to the natural order of things, a violation of the unspoken caste system of the showroom. People like Marcus do not get to sit in cars like the Apex. They don't even get to touch them. He takes a step closer to Marcus, invading his personal space, using his height and the authority of his suit to intimidate. His voice is a low growl, meant to be heard not just by Marcus, but by anyone else within earshot. He is making an example. "Listen to me very carefully," Chad hisses. "I don't know what you're trying to pull. You are not getting in that car. You are not touching that car. You're not even going to breathe on that car again. You probably just want to get a selfie for your little social media page to pretend you're a baller for 5 minutes." The accusation is designed to humiliate, to cut deep. He raises his voice for the final, brutal flourish. "We are a place of business, not a tourist attraction for people like you. Now, if you don't find the exit on your own, I'll have security show it to you." He has crossed a line. It is no longer about a sales assessment, it is a raw, public display of prejudice. Several other customers turn to look, drawn by the aggressive tone. They see the big, imposing salesman in the expensive suit bearing down on the smaller, quietly dressed black men. They see the humiliation playing out. A faint, almost imperceptible shift occurs in Marcus's demeanor. The quiet patience in his eyes hardens into something else entirely. It is a look of cold, calculating decision. The moment of assessment is over. The moment for action has arrived. Chad has just made the biggest, and last, mistake of his career. He just doesn't know it yet. Just as Chad is turning away, basking in the glow of his perceived victory, a door behind the main reception desk swings open. A man in his late 50s, his face a mask of controlled panic, strides onto the showroom floor. This is David Harrison, the general manager. He wears a suit that is even more expensive than Chad's, but he wears it with the weary anxiety of a man who has to manage egos like Chad's for a living. He is holding his phone, his thumb hovering over the screen. "Chad." Harrison's voice cuts through the showroom's quiet hum. It is sharp, frayed with an urgency that makes every head turn. "Have you seen a Mr. Thorne? He had a 10 o'clock appointment. The owner is on my line right now, asking where he is." Chad freezes mid-stride. The name doesn't register. He mentally scrolls through his list of appointments, his roster of qualified leads. There is no Thorne. He turns to his boss, his face a canvas of confusion. "Mr. Thorne?" "No, sir. No one by that name has checked in." "I've been on the floor since we opened," he says it with absolute certainty, the king reporting on the state of his realm. Harrison's eyes, filled with a frantic energy, scan the room. They pass over the old money couple, the tech bro, the other browsers. Then they land on Marcus, still standing silently by the GT apex. A wave of dawning horror washes over the general manager's face. His eyes widen. The color drains from his cheeks. He recognizes the men from the file photo Mr. Sterling, the owner, had sent him that morning. The file labeled Marcus Thorne. VVIP. Extend every courtesy. Oh, God, Harrison breathes, the words a horrified prayer. He practically sprints across the polished floor, his expensive shoes squeaking in his haste. He ignores Chad completely, his focus entirely on Marcus. He comes to a halt a few feet away, composing himself, trying to plaster a welcoming smile over his panic. Mr. Thorne. Harrison extends a hand, his voice a little too loud, a little too eager. My sincerest apologies. I was trapped on a call with corporate. I trust my team has been making you feel welcome. The question hangs in the air, thick with unspoken dread. The entire showroom is now silent, watching the bizarre scene unfold. Chad stands rooted to the spot, his mind struggling to process the information. Thorne. This kid in the hoodie is the VVIP the owner was calling about. It doesn't compute. It is a glitch in the matrix of his perfectly ordered, prejudiced world. Marcus slowly turns his head, looking from the terrified general manager to the petrified salesman. He deliberately, pointedly ignores Chad. He reaches out and takes Harrison's hand in a firm grip. Mr. Harrison, Marcus says, his voice as calm and cool as the grave. I was just getting acquainted with your sales floor. He pauses, letting the words sink in, his eyes flicking for a brief, cold moment to Chad. And your customer service philosophy. The power dynamic in the room does not just shift, it shatters and reassembles in a new and terrifying configuration. The sun, which had revolved around Chad, now has a new center of gravity. And Chad finds himself suddenly cast out into the cold, dark void. His smug confidence evaporates, replaced by a cold, creeping dread that starts in the pit of his stomach and spreads through his limbs like ice water. He connects the dots. The appointment. The owner on the phone. The general manager's panic. The man in the hoodie. Mr. Thorne. It is a nightmare. A waking, professionally fatal nightmare. The other salesmen, who had been enjoying the show moments before, now suddenly find the floor tiles, their own shoes, the ceiling, anything, incredibly fascinating. They avoid Chad's desperate, pleading gaze. He is radioactive. An outcast. Harrison, a man skilled in damage control, understands the gravity of the situation instantly. He knows he is not just saving a sale, he is saving his own job. He turns to Chad, his face a thundercloud of managerial fury. Chad, Harrison says, his voice dangerously quiet. What, exactly, has been going on here? Marcus answers before Chad can even begin to formulate a lie. His voice is not loud, but it cuts through the silence with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel. Every word is a nail being hammered into the coffin of Chad's career. I was expressing my interest in the GT Apex, Marcus begins, his gaze fixed on Harrison but his words clearly intended for a wider audience. Your salesman here, he gestures dismissively toward Chad with his chin, was quite informative. He informed me that I was in the big leagues and that I should probably look at your pre-owned inventory. He was also quite concerned about my financial situation, suggesting I go home and save my allowance. He lets each quote land, a perfect echo of the insults Chad had hurled just minutes before. The mimicry is flawless and devastating. And most recently, Marcus continues, his voice devoid of all emotion, he theorized that my only reason for being here was to take a photograph for my little social media page. He then threatened to have security remove me. Harrison looks as if he is going to be physically ill. He turns a look of pure, unadulterated rage on his top salesman. A vein throbs in his temple. Chad. Is this true? Chad's mind is a maelstrom of panic. He opens his mouth, but only a desperate stammer comes out. Sir, it's a misunderstanding. I was just trying to qualify the customer, sir. Standard procedure. It is a weak, pathetic defense, and everyone knows it. The lie is transparent. And then the betrayal comes, swift and merciless. Kevin, the young salesman, the apprentice, sees his chance. He can go down with Chad, or he can cut him loose and save himself. It is not even a choice. He said it, Mr. Harrison, Kevin blurts out, his voice shaking but clear. He said all of it. Word for word. He called him kid and told him to go play the lottery. The final nail. The confirmation from a witness. Chad turns a wounded, betrayed look on his protégé, but Kevin refuses to meet his eyes. In the jungle of the showroom, loyalty is a luxury no one can afford. Chad is alone, completely and utterly isolated. The pressure becomes too much. The carefully constructed persona of the slick, untouchable salesman shatters, and the raw, ugly prejudice beneath is exposed for all to see. "How was I supposed to know?" he explodes, his voice a desperate, cracking shout. The outburst is aimed at Harrison, at Marcus, at the universe he feels has conspired against him. He walks in here dressed like a bum. He looks like he can't afford a bus pass, let alone a hypercar. "It's not my fault. Look at him." He points a trembling finger at Marcus. It is a primal scream of a man whose entire worldview has just been invalidated. He is not apologizing, he is doubling down on the very bigotry that has condemned him. He is confessing his sins, believing them to be virtues. Mr. Harrison's face turns from red-hot anger to ice-cold stone. This is no longer a recoverable situation. This is a terminal diagnosis. Marcus, for his part, watches the meltdown with a detached, almost clinical, interest. He has seen this before. The desperate lashing out of a bully who has finally met a force he cannot intimidate. He lets Chad's pathetic, self-incriminating words echo in the silent showroom. Then, he turns his back on the sputtering salesman, a final, brutal dismissal. He addresses Mr. Harrison as if Chad no longer exists. "Mr. Harrison," Marcus says, his voice cutting cleanly through the toxic atmosphere. "I'm no longer interested in test driving the GT Apex." A flicker of hope ignites in Harrison's eyes. Maybe, just maybe, he can salvage this. A sincere apology, a different salesman, a massive discount. Marcus lets him hang for a second before delivering the killing blow. "I'll take it." The one on the platform. In obsidian black. The statement is so simple, so direct, it takes a moment for the full weight of it to land. He is not just continuing the transaction. He is escalating it. He is buying the car. The unbuyable car. Before Harrison can even respond, Marcus continues. He looks past the stunned general manager, his gaze directed at the large, glass-walled office that overlooks the showroom floor. Inside, an older man with silver hair and an impeccably tailored suit stands watching the entire drama unfold. He has been there the whole time. This is Mr. Sterling. The owner. Marcus gives a slight, almost imperceptible nod. Mr. Sterling nods back, a faint, approving smile on his lips. "And I'll be paying in cash," Marcus announces. He shrugs the simple black backpack off his shoulder. The backpack Chad had dismissed as a cheap accessory. He places it on the polished granite surface of the reception desk and unzips it. He reaches inside and pulls out a brick of currency. It is vacuum-sealed in clear plastic, bound by a paper strap from a national bank. He places it on the counter with a soft, heavy thud. Then another. And another. And another. Brick after brick of $100 bills. A mountain of cash, sitting there in the open, a stunning, irrefutable testament to his buying power. The assembled pile is more money than Chad earns in half a decade of peddling lies and luxury. The entire showroom is speechless. The other customers, the salesman, Harrison, they all stare at the money, then at Marcus, then back at the money. The sheer, audacious reality of it is overwhelming. Chad stares at the cash, his mouth hanging open. His brain has short-circuited. The man he had profiled as being unable to afford the floor mats is now producing a king's ransom from a simple backpack. Every one of his assumptions, every pillar of his prejudiced worldview, has been systematically demolished in the space of 5 minutes. Mr. Harrison finally snaps out of his stupor. He is a man of action, and now he has a clear path forward. Survival. He turns on Chad, his voice now the embodiment of cold, corporate fury. He points a finger not at Chad, but at the door to his office. "Chad. My office. Now." There is no room for argument. It is not a request, it is a death sentence. Chad, his face a ghastly shade of pale, shuffles forward like a man walking to the gallows. His expensive suit suddenly looks cheap and ill-fitting. His confident stride is gone, replaced by a defeated shamble. Harrison then whirls on the other salesman, his voice a whip crack. Somebody get the paperwork for the Apex ready for Mr. Thorne. Full concierge service. Top-tier treatment. Now. Move. The salesmen scramble into action, falling over themselves to obey, their faces a mixture of terror and awe. As Chad takes his first few steps on the longest walk of his life, Marcus speaks again. His voice isn't loud, but it carries, and it stops Chad in his tracks. You know, Chad, Marcus says, a dangerous calm in his tone. You were right about one thing. Chad turns, a flicker of insane, desperate hope in his eyes. An olive branch. A reprieve. Could he possibly salvage this? I am going to put this on my social media, Marcus continues, pulling his phone from his pocket. He holds it up, but he doesn't aim it at the car. But it won't be a picture of me posing next to the Apex. He pauses, letting the moment stretch, letting the entire room hang on his next words. It will be a picture of me signing the final documents to purchase a majority stake in this dealership. The words detonate in the silent showroom. It is a plot twist no one saw coming. Not just a wealthy customer. Not just a VVIP. A new owner. The new boss. Chad stumbles back a step, as if physically struck. The blood drains from his face, leaving behind a waxy, corpse-like pallor. This is not just getting fired. This is annihilation. Section. The glass door to the owner's office slides open and Mr. Sterling strides out onto the floor. He is the picture of old-world power and grace. He walks directly to Marcus and claps a warm, paternal hand on his shoulder. Marcus, my boy. Welcome aboard, Sterling says, his voice booming with satisfaction. He surveys the scene, the stunned employees, the pile of cash, the shell-shocked Chad. I trust your initial undercover assessment of our customer service standards has been illuminating. Marcus never takes his eyes off Chad. His gaze is cold, hard, and utterly unforgiving. Very, Marcus says, the single word dripping with ice. It's shown me exactly where the rot is. He looks around the silent, opulent showroom. And you know what you do with rot. You cut it out. Before it poisons everything else. He does not need to elaborate. The meaning is perfectly, brutally clear. Chad is the rot. And the surgeon has just arrived. The fallout is swift, brutal, and utterly comprehensive. Chad's meeting with Mr. Harrison is not a meeting, it is a formality. He is fired before he even has a chance to sit down. His termination papers are already printed. Security is called not as a threat, but as an escort. Two large, impassive men lead a completely broken Chad back to his desk, where he is permitted to pack his personal effects into a single, pathetic cardboard box. His top salesman of the year, plaques, his photos, his favorite coffee mug, all the trinkets of a life that no longer exists. He is marched through the center of the showroom, the same floor he once ruled, now a walk of shame. Every eye is on him. The other salesmen, once his acolytes, now watch with a cold, detached pity. They are witnessing the public execution of a career, and their primary emotion is relief that it is not them. As he is escorted out the main glass doors, the last thing he sees is Marcus Thorne, the men in the hoodie, shaking hands with Mr. Sterling, a set of keys to the GT Apex dangling from his fingers. The doors hiss shut, and Chad Riley's world ends. But for Marcus, this is just the beginning. The epilogue of Chad's story is the prologue to a new era. In the days that follow, Chad's professional ruin is absolute. Marcus makes a few quiet phone calls to his contacts in the high-end automotive industry. He doesn't need to slander Chad, he simply tells the truth of what happened. The story spreads like wildfire through the tight-knit community of luxury dealerships. Chad is blacklisted. His name is poison. No one will touch him. His calls go unreturned. His resume is deleted on sight. After months of unemployment and burning through his savings, Chad finally finds a job. He ends up at a seedy, buy here pay here lot on the industrial outskirts of the city. His Italian suits are replaced by a cheap, polyester polo shirt with the dealership's garish logo stitched on the chest. The gleaming showroom is replaced by a cracked asphalt lot full of dented, high-mileage sedans that smell of stale cigarettes. The scent of rich leather is replaced by the reek of desperation. His clients are no longer the wealthy and powerful, but the poor and the desperate, people with bad credit and few options. He spends his days haggling over a few $100s, his commission checks a tiny fraction of what they once were. He is a king in exile, ruling over a kingdom of rust and ruin, haunted by the ghost of a man in a gray hoodie. The other salesmen at Sterling Automotive do not escape unscathed. Marcus and Mr. Harrison review the security footage of the incident. They see every snicker, every dismissive gesture. Kevin, the young salesman who turned on Chad, is spared termination, but only just. He and every other salesperson who was on the floor that day are put on strict probation. They are enrolled in a mandatory, intensive, and deeply uncomfortable series of workshops on diversity, unconscious bias, and respectful customer engagement. Their commission structures are revised, with a new, significant portion tied directly to customer satisfaction scores. The message is clear: the culture of arrogance is over. Adapt or be replaced. For Marcus, the rewards are far more profound than simple revenge. As the new majority partner, he wields his power not as a weapon, but as a tool for change. He doesn't fire everyone, he rebuilds. He promotes the one junior employee, a quiet woman in the back office who had been consistently overlooked, to a junior management position, recognizing the talent that people like Chad had been too arrogant to see. He uses the GT Apex not just as his personal vehicle, but as a symbol. He partners with a local charity that mentors at-risk youth, creating a program called Drive for Success. Once a month, he brings a group of kids to the dealership. He doesn't just show them the car, he tells them his story. He tells them about growing up with nothing, about the people who told him he would amount to nothing, about the relentless work and self-belief it took to prove them all wrong. He lets them sit in the driver's seat, to feel the wheel, to dream of possibilities they had been told were not for them. The dealership itself is transformed. Under Marcus's leadership, it sheds its reputation as an intimidating fortress for the rich and becomes known as a place of integrity. The sales team is retrained to treat every single person who walks through the door with the same level of respect, whether they are wearing a Rolex or a Timex, a business suit or a work uniform. Sales and profits, counterintuitively to the old guard, soar. People want to buy cars from a place where they feel seen and respected. The story of Chad and Marcus becomes a local legend, a cautionary tale whispered in showrooms across the state. The Marcus Thorne test becomes an informal industry term for remembering that the next person who walks in, no matter how they are dressed, could be your new boss. The incident forces a reckoning within the luxury sales world, prompting other dealerships to reevaluate their own toxic cultures, terrified of a similar public implosion. 6 months pass. The Sterling Automotive showroom is brighter, busier, and more vibrant than ever before. The atmosphere is different. The tension is gone, replaced by a low, pleasant hum of professional activity. A diverse clientele moves through the space, attended to by a sales team that is now more reflective of the city it serves. Marcus Thorne walks the floor. He is not in a suit. He is wearing a comfortable pair of jeans, a fresh hoodie, and the same unassuming sneakers. His presence is not that of a lord surveying his domain, but of a craftsman checking his work. He stops to chat with a young couple nervously looking at an SUV, their first new car purchase. He puts them at ease, answers their questions without a hint of condescension, and directs them to the young salesman he had put on probation months ago. He watches as the salesman, now more humble and more effective, treats the couple with genuine warmth and respect. He is learning. The system is changing. Marcus's gaze drifts to the corner of the showroom. The GT Apex is there, back on its pedestal, gleaming under the lights. It is his car, but it rarely leaves the showroom. It has become the dealership's heart, a constant, silent reminder of the day everything changed. A reminder that a person's value is not written on their clothes or their skin. It is a monument to the fall of arrogance and the rise of respect. He thinks of Chad, toiling away on his desolate car lot, a ghost of his former self. There is no triumph in the thought, no glee. Just a quiet, somber acknowledgement of a lesson learned, or, in Chad's case, a lesson brutally taught. Arrogance is a blindness. It makes you see a person's appearance but miss their substance. It makes you hear their quietness but miss their strength. It is a self-inflicted wound that, left untended, will inevitably lead to a spectacular downfall. Marcus looks at the reflection of the showroom in the car's polished black finish. He sees the customers, the employees, the light streaming through the windows. He sees a place that is better, fairer, and more successful than it was before. He didn't just buy a car that day. He bought an opportunity to tear down something rotten and build something worthy in its place. And as he turns and walks back into the heart of his new kingdom, he knows, with a quiet and profound certainty, that it was worth every single penny. The real luxury was not the car itself, but the justice it had allowed him to purchase.